Gavin Newsom, California's 51st governor, is a figure who inspires both admiration and criticism. Supporters hail him as a bold reformer, tackling climate change, healthcare, and social justice, aiming to make California a model of inclusion and opportunity. Critics, however, see a leader whose ambitious policies come with unsustainable costs and questionable ethics, arguing that his vision risks the state's financial stability. This divide isn't just partisan, it's about what Californians expect from their government-bold progress or responsible stewardship. Newsom's tenure has been defined by high-stakes decisions that spark both praise and condemnation. In the next sections, we'll examine 3 flashpoints: immigration and sanctuary policies, political donations and transparency, and the state's unemployment crisis during COVID-19. Newsom launched his career as a data-driven reformer, gaining national attention as San Francisco's mayor for supporting same-sex marriage and blending social liberalism with business savvy. As governor, he promised bold solutions to California's toughest problems: homelessness, housing, healthcare, and the environment. He quickly enacted sweeping reforms, a death penalty moratorium, expanded paid family leave, and billions for early education and homelessness. His signature move was expanding Medi-Cal to all low-income adults, including undocumented immigrants, arguing it's both a moral and practical investment in public health. Supporters see these actions as proof of his commitment to a more just society, especially in an era of federal gridlock. Critics, however, warn that such expansive programs threaten the state's finances and create dependency. The tension between Newsom's progressive ideals and the realities of governing a massive, diverse state is at the heart of the debate. Nowhere is this more evident than in his approach to immigration. Newsom's immigration policies have defined his tenure and sparked fierce debate. As San Francisco mayor, he issued ID cards to undocumented residents, signaling his belief in local protection and integration. As governor, he expanded state-funded benefits, making California the first to offer Medi-Cal to all low-income undocumented adults. Newsom defends this as humane and cost-effective, arguing that preventative care saves money and builds a healthier society. He's also resisted federal immigration enforcement, supporting sanctuary laws and condemning ICE raids, saying these policies build trust and safety. Yet he's drawn lines, vetoing bills that would shield those convicted of serious crimes from ICE, insisting public safety has limits. Supporters see a principled leader. Critics argue he's created incentives for undocumented immigration and blurred the line between compassion and recklessness. This balancing act remains one of the most contentious aspects of his leadership. Critics argue Newsom's sanctuary policies and expanded benefits for undocumented immigrants strain California's budget and public services. The Medi-Cal expansion alone costs billions, raising questions about priorities when legal residents also need support. Opponents claim these policies attract more undocumented immigrants, creating a cycle of rising costs and demand for services. Public safety is another flashpoint. Critics cite cases where released undocumented offenders committed new crimes, blaming limits on local cooperation with ICE. Law enforcement officials say these policies tie their hands and undermine community safety. Newsom's resistance to federal law has drawn accusations of undermining the rule of law and constitutional order. For critics, the issue is less about immigration and more about responsible governance and respect for federal authority. Beyond social policy, Newsom faces scrutiny over ethics and transparency, especially regarding behested payments. This legal practice lets officials solicit donations for causes, but critics say it opens the door for special interests to curry favor outside campaign finance limits. In 2024, Newsom was fined for failing to report $14 million in behested payments from major corporations. The administration defends the practice as a way to fund good causes, insisting all rules were followed and late filings were administrative errors. Critics argue the real issue is the influence donors might expect in return, especially when they have business before the state. The controversy has fueled concerns about transparency and the potential for pay-to-play politics. The behested payments controversy deepened with donations to the Representation Project, a non-profit founded by Newsom's wife, from companies regulated by the state. Critics say soliciting funds from entities overseen by the governor creates a conflict of interest. Another case involved a donor receiving a lucrative no-bid state contract after making a large donation at Newsom's request, raising suspicions of quid pro quo. The administration denies wrongdoing, insisting donations were legal and contracts awarded on merit. Supporters call the criticism politically motivated, but the perception of favoritism erodes public trust. For many, the issue isn't legality but whether Newsom meets a higher ethical standard. The debate highlights growing anxiety over money's influence in California politics. Newsom's reputation for competent management took a major hit during the COVID-19 pandemic, when California's Employment Development Department collapsed under a flood of unemployment claims. While desperate Californians faced delays, criminals exploited weak security, stealing billions in fraudulent claims. By early 2021, at least $11.4 billion had been lost to fraud, with more flagged as suspicious, one of the largest government frauds in U.S. history. Critics blame Newsom's administration for ignoring warnings and failing to modernize the system. Newsom argues the crisis was unprecedented and that federal programs with loose requirements made fraud easier. The administration says they prioritized getting aid to families quickly, accepting some risk of fraud. Critics counter that competent government should balance speed and security, and that the failure left both taxpayers and the unemployed suffering. The EDD debacle became a symbol of grand promises overshadowed by mismanagement. Gavin Newsom's leadership embodies the deep divisions of modern California. Supporters see a courageous reformer building a progressive model for the nation. Critics see fiscal recklessness and eroding trust. Both sides have facts to support their views, but the truth lies in the complex middle ground. Newsom's policies have helped many, but also brought significant costs and controversy. The challenges facing California are immense, and the path forward is uncertain. Ultimately, it's up to Californians to look past rhetoric, examine the facts, and hold leaders accountable. The final verdict on Newsom's legacy will be written by the people he serves.